So, welcome guys to a new podcast episode. Today we're here in the office in Zurich at Sparkworks. We will meet in the near future the most inspiring companies in Switzerland that are shaping the Swiss society through innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. And in front of me, it's Linda Armbruster from Sparkworks and Amadeo. Welcome, guys, to this podcast session.
Hi everyone, nice that you're here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, Linda, maybe we can start with you. How are you today and who are you and where are you working? Yeah.
I'm doing good. Yes, it's 2nd of November. That means we're in like the high season of consulting work. I guess we work a lot with bigger organizations and then tend to have budget left to spend at the end of the year, which is good for us, but also means a lot of work. So I'm good, busy, which is great after 2 years of COVID. Obviously, that had its impact on a small business like us as well. It's great to be here and to having lots of projects and a lot of work. So happily busy. We're sitting here in our Zurich offices. We have a wonderful location close to Paradeplatz. Used to be a former lamp shop, so it's really nicely lit. We have windows all around. We're in the midst of Zurich. We see people passing by. We can engage with them. So it's always been our dream to have a really creative space close at the city center. So I'm happy to be here. Also be happy not to have everyone just in home office and working remotely. Our work is a lot about innovation, but also collaboration. So being here in person is also essential to us. So happy to have you guys over.
Thanks for having us, and it's been a great experience so far, no, Arno? We really got to meet the team members and get a glimpse of the spirit here at Sparkworks, exactly. And we're looking for very progressive companies that are futuristic. Would you say, you would definitely be one of these companies? And then why?
Well, I guess it's always a question of perspective, especially when we're talking about innovation. One thing might be innovative for a company in one industry, and it might not be at all for a company in another industry. So it's all relative. I'm pleased that you think so. I think we do, and that's why clients come to us. So we do bring in both kind of the creative mindset and the methodological know-how to be able to push for new innovative solutions with our clients. But yes, I mean, in the end, we're also cooking with water. So sometimes it's not always easy to practice what you preach and be as collaborative and as innovative when you have to deal with your own accounting, for example. So yes, I would say we are a creative bunch, and that's what we try to push and do with our clients. I don't know if we've mentioned it, so Sparkworks is one out of 3 entities. We started off with Spark Labs about 6-7 years ago. My co-founder, Alan, he was doing his PhD in innovation management back at the EPFL. He was looking into different programs around the world, Stanford, MIT, etc., that were teaching innovation programs to students. And back then there was really not much here in Switzerland, especially at the universities. What he saw was not that there's better students or better staff at MIT, for example, or Stanford. It's more about bringing students together from across disciplines. So a biologist here in our universities rarely meets the architect, rarely meets the management student. So really fostering multidisciplinary collaboration and designing programs that embed that was one aspect. The other one was especially, and that's the case especially at technical universities such as EPFL or ETH here in Zurich, is that a lot is driven through technology. And we come from a design thinking background where we say, okay, technology is always a means, but we need to be able to serve people's needs. And when people, it doesn't have to be individual end consumers, and can be businesses, and can be internal stakeholders, but technology needs to serve a purpose. So bringing that kind of mindset to students with a more technical background was also very important, and that's something that these successful universities already did 10 years ago. And then third is working on actual real life challenges and topics. So which also was not the case back then, that universities usually said, okay, that's something for Fachhochschulen, for the applied universities. We do research. We're the academics. We don't work with industry. So that's these kind of three, I would say, principles is what he was missing, and then basically started off Spark Labs as a bottom-up initiative. A year later, ETH knocked the door, and they wanted to bring Spark Labs in the program also here to Zurich, which is what Alan did. Since then, Spark Labs has been a non-profit lab or entity of the Technology Innovation Management Chair under Professor Brosoni here at ETH. We've run a variety of teaching formats with all kinds of students, from bachelor to master to executive programs. And out of that, we founded SparkWorks kind of as a for-profit consultancy arm, because we saw a lot of demand from those industry partners to apply the same methodology, the same principles, the same mindsets to their concrete business challenges. Because obviously whatever we're doing at Spark Labs has the vision of teaching and kind of and training students. It's the first priority is never delivering results of a project partner. That's maybe second or third priority. So that's why we founded SparkWorks, to be able to work with industry. That was a very natural process. We've been growing naturally since. Quite well, I would say. Last year was a bit of a buffer, I think, for most businesses with COVID. But again, we recovered, and we're here with lots of work and lots of projects and clients, which is great. So that's a second entity. Again, we're supporting big organizations, or not big, but the majority is big, so we rarely work with startups. We do sometimes as part of a bigger program with an organization. So, for example, we might run a startup accelerator, and then we also coach those individual startups, but we rarely have startups as our own clients. So we work with organizations, both public and private, on innovation processes and challenges that can be very product or solution oriented, and okay, let's develop a new app or an improved app. Let's understand our customer behavior, needs, drivers, translate those findings into new solutions, test those solutions with early rapid prototypes and, for example, design sprints, again, with the goal to develop customer-centric and validated solutions. But it can also be more on an organizational level, where we help them build an innovation ecosystem, a sustainable innovation strategy that means sometimes also training people. But we also believe you can train, and we know this from our research at ETH, at Stefanos chairs. It's not enough to just train your people. You need to create an environment where they can apply their learning. So that's super important. So again, both market-driven and organizational-driven activities with our clients. And then the third entity, last but not least, is called Sparkademy, which we spun off as a separate company beginning of last year. That was a project that we have already worked on for a couple of years with one of our clients, who asked us to train internal, what they call innovation catalysts, so basically innovation coaches, in order to scale innovation in its larger sense. So it means working more collaborative, working more agile, working more customer-centric. they also applied these principles and this new way of working to, let's say, even marketing projects or so. But again, they needed internal people to support, to coach these projects and at scale around the world. And they came to us to develop something, which we did. They're still one of the clients, but we've also by now with Spark Academy worked a lot on the program and have additional clients. So that's, since there's a really different business model than Spark works, which is consulting. This is, in the end, it's tech. It's a platform. It's a scalable platform. Different business model. So we kind of spun it off.
But what we think, like, overall, how do you shape, like, also national or international innovation, or what is your mission, your personally, what you want to bring to the people which have the possibility to work or to learn from Sparks?
How do you make an impact shape? I think originally where we're coming from, again, we're coming from traditionally from education, is the vision that we always had, especially working with students at universities like ETH. Those will be the leaders of today, and we believe if they get the right tools and the right mindset and taking them those out in the world and applying them in the positions they'll be in the future, I think, and that is the best impact that we can have when it comes to students and education. Second impact, obviously, me personally, is with my team, my employees. I think we try to live a mindset and culture of learning. I think that's one of the most, I would say, challenging and most fun things about our kind of work, and that might apply to consultancy in general, but especially if we do innovation work, is no project is really the same. Yes, there's certain formats that repeat, but again, it's in also different industries, it's different organizations. So we're really, really always learning by doing. I think, and I think that shapes all of our employees. I think usually when people look back, they're like, wow, I've been here for 2 years, but I've learned and done so much. So the team members here, they get a lot of responsibility to again, make an impact on their projects. And then once they're done working for us, and that can have different reasons, one of our first employee, after 4 years working with us, she said, hey, that was my first job. I want to see and experience other workplaces. So we helped her find a job, and she applies what she learned there. So I think that's for me personally as a leader is in the end, there's a concept called servant leader. In the end, I'm trying to serve my team to learn and grow and become better at their job every day. And apply that here with our clients and in the future in their other positions. So that's in regards to people. And third is in regards to our clients. I mean, so we work with all kinds of clients. That can be corporates, a private organization, that can be public organizations. And then the impact is different, right? Depending on the project. Sometimes we have very small projects, and sometimes we have larger projects with more scale internationally or with more scale. So we did one last year. We did a hackathon on meat consumption, or we worked with an NGO here in Switzerland on parent information. Obviously, these projects are always very motivating. Because you can see, okay, this has a societal impact potentially, but again, I also believe that there's a lot of value in these, maybe sometimes a bit less sexy projects, or even with an insurance, where in the end, if the products that are out there are a bit more customer centric, a bit more user friendly, are actually answering to customers' needs, then I think that has its value for beyond just beyond us and our clients, but to a certain extent to the users and society. I do get, I mean, today I get a lot of applications of students who say, or not students, sorry, applicants who say, I want to work on social innovation. And because, yes, people are looking for making an impact. And I'm always happy if I can provide such a project. But at the end of the day, to be realistic, those also are not the ones necessarily paying the bills. So we're one of my employees just sent me a service agreement with the WHO. Obviously, that's a cool project. To be honest, again, the money that we're making with that are barely covering the costs. So as a business leader, I need to balance out these projects, and we're always happy to do that. But again, we also need to make, pay people salaries, and that's what we can do by having both of these private and public projects and clients.
Yeah, I think I can believe that this is sometimes a challenge. You want to survive as a company, so profit-oriented, but at the same time, there's a bigger need to also be purpose-driven and to justify the existence of the company, no? And here maybe my question, what is the existence of Sparks, or why is this company existing? What is really the value that you're creating with your company?
I would say two aspects. One is, as I mentioned before, we're focusing on customer-centric innovation. So whatever we're working on with a client, we're the ones who will raise a flag. Hey, is this really to the benefit of your customer? Is this really aligned with customer need? And that sounds easier than it is. Larger organizations, there's just a big span between, let's say, the customer and decision makers, and very often we don't have that data. So we might have customer data, but they're talking it's statistical customer data. I can give you an example. Working with again, they do baked goods, and they only had the cashier data of which client buying, not which client, what product is bought at what time. Doesn't mean why people are buying it. Doesn't mean who is not buying it for what reason. Doesn't mean what their lives look like and how we could add more value to these people. So I think that's kind of what really the core of our work is. Let's make sure whatever we're developing, yes, has a feasible business model, yes, or a viable business model, some kind of feasible technology, but it first and foremost is there desirability from a customer? Is it adding value to them, their lives? So I think that's at the core of what we do. And that's the value that we bring, and that's why customers come to us, besides other aspects as well, but is that customer-centric approach that draws from various methodologies, design thinking being one. And then second, I mean, again, I also mentioned it up front, is that I don't believe innovation is a one-time off. I don't believe innovation happens in isolation. So you need to continuously kind of rethink what you're offering as an organization to be relevant to customers and to be able to compete in a quite complex market. So so it's what we try to do, and I will use an analogy that my co-founder likes, is we try to not just fish for our clients, but we try to teach them how to fish. We believe then if organizations develop these skills and capabilities also in-house, then innovation will be more sustainable for them, so they can embed innovation in their organization as part of their culture, as part of their process, as part of their mindset, in a sense that we believe in the long term these will be better organizations which have other challenges which are then more interesting for us. Just as an example, I mean, I don't believe in running 20 design sprints for one company. I believe in maybe running 3, 4, 5, and then working with them so they can run them themselves at a certain point. Again, that's an ideal, that's a vision. Reality doesn't always look like that. But I would say, yeah, these are kind of the two core principles of what we do. Is one is keeping the customer always at the heart, and I said it, customer doesn't mean end consumer, it can also be stakeholder. We've done, for example, projects on HR. So how do you make a more in this kind of, I'm going to say talent-centered recruitment process. So not just looking at it from an internal perspective, but also, okay, stepping in the shoes of that new applicant, for example. And then second, yes, trying to look at innovation as a sustainable long-term process. Long story short.
But interesting, yeah. Before you also mentioned that as a leader, you are a leader, you want to serve your team. And yeah, what is your understanding of leadership, and how is leadership lived here in this company, and what kind of values you want to pass on to your employees?
So, I mean, I think what's important is that I think as many leaders, it's not like I plan to be a leader a long time ago, especially if I'm also an entrepreneur. I basically started a company and with the company growing, had more and more leadership responsibilities. And again, that comes obviously also with challenges and responsibilities that you might not be prepared for. I recently did an executive diploma in Oxford for organizational leadership because, again, I felt I had more leadership responsibilities and challenges. So again, back to the trying to be a learner at all time, trying to equip myself, which was a super interesting program, unfortunately also because of COVID, mostly remote, with a great cohort of peers from around the world in various leadership positions. And again, I think the topic of leadership is huge, obviously. I mentioned before one of the concept that I personally find very applicant for me, my role is again what I said, the servant leadership. It's always sounds fun. Okay, you're the leader, but especially in a small organization, you tend to do the things that nobody else wants to do, right? In a small organization, we're 15 people. I don't have an HR person, so I'm doing all the HR. I'm working on, we do have bookkeeping, but still I need to organize people's expenses. I don't know, I need to coordinate with the cleaning lady to keep the office afloat. So there's a lot of these things that go into that, say, the admin side of leadership, in order for me to make sure that my team can be focused and enjoy on their work. So I think that's something to consider. So I'm basically again serving my people in that sense. And then when you talk about values, besides kind of the values that I think are important for our work, so our work with our clients, when I mentioned customer centricity, collaboration. Again, I said innovation doesn't happen in isolation. I think collaboration is key for our work, but also in the team. Agility is key. So besides these kind of principles that are super important for our work, that you can really see here is autonomy. So really giving people the freedom to take on responsibility, to grow and show where their interests. Then again, giving them the opportunity to learn from the projects. Everyone has a learning budget to again get more tools under their in their toolkit. So those are some of the aspects. I'm also, especially now after the program, also experimenting with a bunch of different things in regards to, for example, holiday. So you could say that as a leader, if you have a policy of people of the traditional holiday planning, then I don't know, people have 20 days and they will have to come to you and ask, okay, can I take a day off? Well, basically what they're asking is it okay for me to not be there? And if they're not here, then basically responsibility lies with me. What I want to have is a team of people that is kind of thinking of themselves. It's like, how can I coordinate in my team that in the end, during my absence, everything is working smoothly. That means either I prepare it well, or I hand it over to someone, or I make sure, again, the client knows, so that we as a team can take on responsibility. I don't care if people, and we have call it flexible personal time. I don't care if people take 25 or 15 or how many holidays, and I don't want to have to be counting my people's holidays. It's like, people are supposed to take on responsibility, and again, think of this company like as if it's almost their own company. So how as a team can we make sure that we deliver to the client's expectations, and in a way that we as a team are all happy at the end. So if 3 people take vacation at the same time, obviously the 2 people left, or however left, those are screwed because they will have to take all the work. So one person leaving has to think, okay, what does this mean for the rest of the team? Things like that. We're trying to explore, we're trying to try out, so doing little trials, seeing how that works. But by far, none of these things are perfectionated, as the team grows, there's new challenges that come along, which we need to try to solve together. I think that's my approach. It's a team. We have especially the core team, people that have been here for a while. We try to make most of the leadership decisions together, I would say. Some of my thoughts. I hope it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Maybe Arno, do you have a question, or already have another one? But
no, go on then. Go with the flow.
When I was around, I could see everywhere like the main principles like agility, collaboration, and empathy. Why are these the core principles? And maybe you can also explain a little bit what do they mean, also to have a collaborative mindset or to have an agile mindset. What does it mean, and why is it so important and really the core of this company?
I mean, I think empathy, I talk now a lot about. Empathy refers back to customer centricity, is really taking on another person's perspective, customer perspective, and not designing things just from an internal perspective. Especially, I mean, often we see that with like public processes, right? So we work with a city for some project, and you could really see if you map out the customer journey, you could see that it's designed from a back-end perspective. It's like, why does a customer get three mails? Well, it comes from different departments. But the customer doesn't care if it comes from 3 departments. So it's really like looking at not just from internal perspective, from an external perspective. Again, empathy, I think we covered. The 2 other ones. Agility. Again, I think agility is a word that we hear everywhere now. What we mean is going away from a classic, let's say, planning mindset, where we can, methodologies like waterfall, where project management, where we say, okay, this is the goal we want to reach, and here's the plan how to get there. The reality is that today our world looks different. We always talk about VUCA, right? So it's again the system is super complex. There's a variety of stakeholders involved. Often the solution is not clear. So who knows if it's going to be a product or a service or an experience. So with that in mind, if we cannot actually plan, so we need to have a more agile and iterative approach to things. That means also, and I think that's inherently kind of core of many of the methodologies that are now successful is that we need to get away from, okay, we need to have a kind of clear, perfect and final interim result in order to move on to the next. So that's why we work a lot with prototypes. It's about kind of learning, failing forward, and then constant, okay, what do we know? But more importantly, what do we don't know? And what won't we even know that we don't know, kind of thing. It's really about being aware of the hypothesis that you're making. And the assumptions, and then how do you test those in an easy, rapid, quick way? Experiments, prototypes, in order to start somewhere, right? And not get lost in planning, and because again things will change anyhow. That's again why you have especially in IT, you have again all this lean and Scrum, etc. Because okay, if I'm gonna code this whole thing, it'll take me 2 years, but in 2 years nobody's going to use it because there's already a next solution. So, but that doesn't just apply to IT. We're in a very fast-paced environment. So, companies and there's still unfortunately too many that plan and execute, and then 2 years later, then they bring it to the market. Again, things might have changed, or the feedback that they could have gotten early on, they didn't, and therefore whatever they're putting out in the market is not successful. But they could have tested all these assumptions and hypotheses early on. So I think that's the core of what we mean with agility is being clear about your assumptions and testing those, experimenting, learning, failing forward. And collaboration as a third principle, I mentioned before, I don't believe innovation happens in isolation. Yes, there's geniuses that just sit there and be stroked by lightning, but it's a misconception that, again, in order to be creative, innovative, you need to be a genius mindset. There's lots of tools that can help you, and most of them have certain collaborative aspects to them. So getting that exchange with others, with other disciplines is, I will also often say multidisciplinarity is super important. That can mean for actual clients, that can mean across the own department, that can be together with us, that can be sometimes we bring in students for a project. So what about running an open hackathon, or generally open innovation is a really interesting a way of bringing in new ideas, different perspectives, because we tend to have a funnel view and okay, we're going to say, oh, this is not possible, this is not possible because of that and that and that. But if, again, everything is not possible, then we're also never going to challenge. And it's hard to challenge, right, yourself and what you do if that was what made you successful. I mean, that's the whole, I think, downside of bigger organizations, is that at some point what they've been doing, and here we talk about exploitation versus exploration, is they've been exploiting, being better at what they do and how they do it, but at a certain point it's no longer enough. So I take the example of a company producing glasses, seeing glasses. They can work with new technologies to make the glass even more scratch resistant. But at some point, how much is 0.1% more scratch resistant really a differentiator? So they need to think, okay, what if, are we really producing glasses, or are we offering sight, which opens then a range of possibilities. And you saw that in the last 20 years with many big companies, right? You go from a car provider to a provider of mobility and so on. And doing that step requires a lot of change and a lot of challenging yourself. And it's super, super hard if you just have internal people and in that process. So that's something we try to push. Collaboration beyond their own silos, their own limits of the organization, and requires also a different mindset. But because, again, often companies say, well, the idea is not done yet. It's not perfect, not ready for the market. We're like, doesn't matter. Bring in some customers, bring in some experts, bring in some external stakeholders, students, whoever, to just bring in a fresh new mindset, look on things, and don't try to do it in isolation.
Interesting. Thank you, Julia, for these words. Linda, sorry. I was so focused on my next question that I forgot your actual name, Linda. Sorry. Another question. I'm observing you, and you're talking, and you're really present, and what you say is really precise. And of course, out there you have a lot of people who know that agility is really important in future. But then here the question is, you're really active and really fast. What helps you in this complicated world, in this fast world where you try, error and try, like iterative processes? What helps you to calm down and to give you resources back to go out again and work in this fast changing world like you do? So how do you deal with this complicated world, or like with this fast world in the agile market?
I think there's several aspects to this. One is, yes, I mean, often we would like it to be faster than how it is. So, I mean, especially working with bigger corporates, they're like, yes, let's start, and we need it soon and fast. And we're like, yes, we're ready. Let's do this. And then we're like, yeah, but procurement still needs 2 weeks. And so, it's bureaucracy of especially larger organizations that doesn't allow us to be as fast as we would like to be sometimes. That being said, yes, I mean, it's for us and for the team, I think that's also one of the exhausting parts of our work is that again, we're doing project work, so those are usually very intense. I wouldn't say fast, but I would say intense, right? A design sprint for whoever has participated once in one is really intense, which is good. That's what we want, right? Quick and intense. Accelerate what's usually being done over 3 months or so. So it requires a lot of energy from a person who facilitates this process. And I think that's also one of the challenges that we have as a team. Okay, how do you re-energize? And best case scenario, we have some space between the projects, so someone can again then get back to more of the desk work in between some of the admin tasks that are left to slow down. We have massages, so every team member can book a massage every month. We're paying for sports classes every week. I think these are things to balance out and show the team how much we value them. But yes, it's certainly, I think it's certainly a demanding job. It's for people that like action. It's not necessarily for people who rather have a classic 9 to 5 but again, the pro side is you learn a lot. It never gets boring. And for me personally, I guess I think for everyone is also their private life. My son, who forces me to stop writing emails when I'm home. I guess everyone finds their own rhythm and outlets and strategies to balance things out.
Yeah, it's a good question, Arno, that you asked, and now also hearing that you have a son and your husband is also involved in the company, so it seems like you manage really well the private life and the company. And I mean, it was the same for me and Arno. We are best friends, so a lot of people told us, that at one point it's going to be a problem, when you work together, you're very close to each other. So here maybe also my question, because I see a lot of parallels between you and us. So how do you manage like the private, but also then the business part and being a mom? And it seems like, you're doing well.
I guess I hope I'm doing well. I think maybe to the last part, I think you learn to deal with several things in parallel. That's also one of the things that you learn with this job is multitasking. So that's obviously important. Then I think when it's your own company, and then I think that doesn't just apply to me, but also to the rest of the team. There's a certain flexibility. So I'm asking for people's flexibility because it's project work. Sometimes, again, obviously, in order to finish deadlines, or sometimes you need to work later. But again, they also have the flexibility to take that at other times. So if someone has a family thing, then okay, just let me know, and again, we make it work, right? And then that's also I would say the good side of my work. So, for example, I mean, my son, he's now 14, 15 months old. I to be honest, I find the whole kind of maternal and parental leave situation here in Switzerland horrible. I come from a country where Germany, where it's a lot better, and there's even better examples, for example, in Scandinavia. So I believe 3 months for a mom for a new mom to stay home and then afterwards come back to work is really, really, really tough. And I'm also part of a bunch of like mom chats with all ladies that are professional and successful women, and when we share those thoughts and share strategies and tips. But for me, again, since it's my own company, I also said, okay, I don't want him to go to Kita 5 days a week and spend 2 days with him. So the setup I have now is that I'm here in the office 4 days a week, and Mondays I'm in home office. So and I keep him home. I hope usually on these days I try not to schedule client calls or so. Usually have to do a bit of admin and stuff. So obviously it comes also with certain flexibility that I make my own rules in this regards. Yeah, that being said, it's also when it's your own business, it's not just okay, I can't just say, oh, bye-bye, I'm gone now. Because at the end of the day, there's a bunch of people that rely on me in the end as their employer. So that's always a challenge of doing all these things at the same time. Yeah. I guess like for every other mom out there too, and dad. I don't want to be discriminating.
Yeah, because it's interesting. I'm also asking because recently I had a nice chat with a woman. She's in a leading position in a consulting firm, and she told me she was working during 2 years in Ireland, and she said there were much more women in higher positions. So there was a bigger acceptance for people that are blocking. Okay, this evening or this half day I'm off. I'm always with the child or with the family, and it was a bigger acceptance. And when she came back, she really realized again, oh, here it's still a lot of work to do, you know, and it was mainly men in her company, and which made things difficult, more difficult for her.
Yeah. And to be honest, and this is now very, very difficult, it's really, because I'm both, I'm a mom, employed mom, I mean self-employed mom, but I'm also an employer. And I have, if you see my team, I have like say 70% women. It was always varying a bit, but and it's a small company. At some point, we had 3 moms to be, including myself. And the a lady I hired, she was supposed to replace partially me and take on another project, and she came like she was hired, and she was basically pregnant the moment I hired her. Which again, I'm super happy for her, but the problem is here in Switzerland, it's also me as an employer like carrying most of the costs. The government is paying 80% of a maximum of 80K, so they're paying a maximum of 60K roughly for the mom doing these again 3.5 months. So there's a lot of costs that still rely on the company. So then obviously and then second is also, what do we do with 3.5 months? It's not enough time to hire someone else because he wants to be there for 3.5 months. But it's also it's too much time to just be leaving that vacancy, right? So it's really a stupid time as an employer. What do you do? So then obviously the next person I hired, so the replacement of the replacement, basically I said, you know what, this is the situation, and I'm supporting all moms to be and all your wishes, but this is the situation, and I cannot, if this is your wish right now, I cannot handle that. And then it becomes a crazy. I'm like, I don't want to be, like, I shouldn't, I don't want to be doing or saying these things. But again, I'm a small company. In the end, like, I want to survive as a company, and having in a team of, again, that was 12 people, having 3 people maternity leave, it's really becomes really hard, and I don't think it should be on the shoulders of businesses, bigger organizations. Obviously, it's easy for them to handle, but small companies, not so easy. And I think that's again another one of these downsides, and I see it from both perspectives. I see it both as an employer and as a mom, and I'm torn, I'm struggling. So I would hope that regulation has changed soon, hopefully, to the better, meaning more time that is covered by the government, and for both equally, right? So both men and or fathers and mothers should get time off. I mean, if I tell friends in outside of Switzerland, I tell them how many days a man have here, father has here, they're all laughing at me. We're just like, what? So, yeah, and obviously that these policies are not making it easier for women in higher positions.
Yeah, and it's also sad that this question comes really into the center of the discussion. Hey, look, I already hired a woman which left now because she's also pregnant. So it's sad that this question is in the center. So definitely a topic to innovate or to push forward. Yeah.
And then again, these are then topics like you were asking before about leadership, like what are principles, but then it becomes difficult, right? Because the leadership is also so much about the day to day. It's not just have these huge principles and goals, but there's also these day to day decisions for the team. And in the end, my colleague once said it, because yes, I want to make decisions for the best of the individual, but at first it's my job to make sure there's a company at the end of the day, because only if there's a company there's going to be individuals, and those are the hard decisions to make
as a leader. Yeah. So maybe one last question. I'm looking at the clock, we're running out a little bit of time, but maybe the last question of my side, what makes it special to work here, or what's special about working here at this place at Sparks Work?
Well, I think that would be a good question to ask to the employees. Maybe we're all yellow. I don't know if you saw it. The offices have yellow. People have yellow shoes and maybe yellow websites. So it's a really sparky life here. What makes it special? That's a good question. I think it's a team spirit. I think that we all we love our work for the most part. We enjoy coming together, and we enjoy being able to have the impact on the projects that we do. Would it be possible at a different place with a different team? Sure. I think there's lots of really cool agencies around the world who have similar strategies and doing cool work, who we aspire to and learn from. We always try to do. We do 2, if possible, if COVID allows. Usually, we do 2 retreats, kind of team retreats, a year. One in February, March. We usually always went to Sasfe, so to the mountains. Booked a chalet and then spend a week there to strategize and to do some fun skiing and sledding and team activities. And the second team retreat we do in fall, where we try to go to inspiring places. So we went to, I don't know, for example, Amsterdam or Berlin, in order to visit other agencies, to exchange, to not just agencies, but also like labs and cool places. I think that's part of an innovator's work, is having eyes and ears open, not to copy, but to be inspired, right? I think rarely is there really, really something totally, entirely new, but what good innovators do is they see something maybe in a different industry, in a different context, and they're able to do that transfer So yeah, what I wanted to say is again, we're learners. We like to be inspired, and I think that's one of the aspects, like besides others, that make us special. And as I said, the yellow shoes.
Yeah, maybe one more question from me. Is when you think about the future, and if you can wish the future, what kind of world do you imagine or dream of, that maybe the companies are run, or like how is it, or what kind of companies you imagine in the future, how they exist, or what would be your wish, how they operate or be managed, and if you could create this reality.
I think this question has a lot of dimensions. So, I mean, the world that I hope for, imagine for, is a more sustainable world. I obviously want a world that is worth living for my son. There's no, I don't know, natural catastrophes, floods, etc. Because we managed to entirely destroy our planet. So I hope that there's conscious organizations that don't just think in profits, but also in the impact that they have on various levels. That can be societal level, that can be again environmental levels, societally meaning that don't support a further gap of income, for example, and environmental again, that think about kind of the impact their business has. So those are obviously wishes when it comes to the effects or the kind of businesses. When it comes to how businesses are managed, I find it super interesting to companies that are experimenting with different ways of managing holacracy and co. Again, I think it really depends on the context and on the people. But I am always inspired for companies that really manage to do that, not on small scale but large scale. So yes, I hope. There's companies, something we mentioned before, again, where there's women in leadership position, right, or people of color, or people, so really diverse range, companies, not just, to say that now, old white men, but again, also in the way they're structured, and the way the decisions are being made, and the way things run. There's a lot of really, really cool examples out there. I hope to see more, and if I get to be in one of them and potentially shape things, then that'd be obviously really cool.
Yeah, thank you for the answers. Thank you for having you on this podcast today. We're here in the office, and we will also ask a little bit the employees what makes it special to work here at Sparkworks, beside the yellow color. But with us, Linda Armbruster from Sparkworks today. It's the first company on our mission of the inspiring companies in Switzerland which make an impact through innovation, entrepreneurship, and education. And then thank you very much for having you here.
Thank you for inviting me.